Hey, it's Joe. Welcome to our Two Daniels journey towards enhanced mental fortitude. We are on a very positive journey here to enhance our mental fortitude, especially during challenging times. And we are going to start with challenges and how we are absolutely in the darkness, in a dark place when challenges come upon us. Well, let's start off with an encouraging scripture from the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verses 22. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in the darkness, and light dwells within him. So we cannot be but encouraged by this scripture passage from the prophet Daniel. He gives us some great insight and wisdom, doesn't he? Well, the first thing that we need to understand about Daniel was that as a young man, he faced down some real difficult, high-powered kings. And what's very obvious, even in his youth and in his lower stature than these very powerful men, Daniel, during these encounters, remains calm. He absolutely remains calm. And you could sense that this calmness comes upon him very quickly. He gathers it very quickly. So the first thing we're going to talk about is remaining calm during a challenging, dark time. Our instinct, of course, is just the opposite. It's to get a little bit nervous, get a little flustered. But we're going to rein that in, and we're going to remain calm. And what's going to help us rein that in? Well, I need to take you back quite a number of years ago for a story about that. You see, I was about 11 years old, and I had a vicious nightmare that I could remember vividly to this day, many years later. I woke up. It was dark. I realized that I had to get to the bathroom. And as I ran out of my bed, jumped out of my bed and ran, I ran right into the closet door. Thinking it was the bathroom, I tried to open it. But I became panicked. And then all of a sudden, my dog, who had just come into my life, Fritz, who I called my little brother, ran to my side. At my feet, he jumped up near me with a calming influence. But it was more than that. This was God at work through him. Immediately, I became relaxed. Immediately, the calmness that Daniel experienced, Daniel the prophet, I had within me because I realized God was close to me through my little brother Fritz. I can then clearly remember, a couple of seconds later, being relaxed, where I was far from relaxed only moments earlier than that. Finally, we need to turn to my good friend Daniel the Beagle. You all know that Daniel experienced the gas chamber with 17 other dogs for 30 minutes. It is well reported that unfortunately those other dogs lost their life that day. Daniel was standing outside the gas chamber when the door opened, wobbly, but wagging his tail. He was wagging his tail. Somehow, through God's grace, Daniel was able to gather a very positive attitude during this dark, challenging time. This positive attitude, I believe, is what carried him through that day. When he was at that point, he was, again, certainly not in his best shape. He was wobbly. They needed to get him help because he was in such bad shape. And so are we in these challenges. Sometimes emotionally we are beat up just like Daniel was. But somehow, like Daniel, we need to realize that there is light at the end of this darkness, and we could remain as positive as we can. So how are we going to gather all this together? Well, we're going to gather this together by looking at my dream, Daniel the prophet, and Daniel the beagle. All had some very key components during a challenging time. They have to be done pretty quickly, but we're going to recognize God's presence, we're going to remain calm, and we're going to hold on to a positive attitude. So let's consider that for a little while. Let's think about it. Let's reflect upon it and pray upon it. And then we'll continue our journey together and come up with some real good ideas of how you can take this 3-point plan and put it into action during challenges so that your mental fortitude can remain strong. I thank you for listening. This is just the beginning of our journey. We have a lot more to go. So I hope you're enjoying it. And let's continue on. See you soon.